Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here for the Plymouth City Council meeting of February 26th, 6:30 p.m. I can get a roll call.
Councilmember Bottomley, absent. Councilmember Cranford. Here. Councilmember Dell. Here. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Here.
Mayor Nunn.
Here.
Thank you. We have a quorum.
Get everyone to stand for a pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, on approval. Well, first off, anybody have anything they want to pull or?
I don't want to change anything on the agenda, but I want to say I'm on call for work tonight, so my phone is on. So on the off chance it goes off, I apologize in advance.
Okay, anyone else? I think we all understand. All right. I want to pull item 10.1.
Which item?
Pull it out for tonight.
Why?
You want to postpone?
I would like to postpone it.
What do we do? Do we have to vote on that?
If you guys don't want to discuss it tonight, that's up to all of you to decide, yes. Wouldn't be my recommendation.
I think it'd be a good idea.
I mean, can you give more clarification so we can make an educated
Do
decision?
that later.
Huh?
I think we can do that later.
If you pull 10.1, we can't talk about it.
Exactly. Well. I made my
recommendation
statement.
would be to discuss it in closed session, but up to you.
I made my statement. I like to pull the damn item.
Let's pull it. I mean, I'm here to support my fellow council members.
You need all of us to say what we want to do or vote? I don't know what we're supposed to do.
If there's consensus to not discuss that tonight, we don't have to discuss it tonight.
That's fine. If he wants to pull it.
Okay.
Before we move forward, I just want to say, we're not going to be able to discuss why you're pulling it, right?
I understand that.
Okay.
Okay. So. Approval of City Council regular meeting agenda February 26, 2026. With the amendment, pull item 10.1.
For the regular minutes of today with the amendment. The agenda, excuse me.
I'll second the motion. Councilmember Cranford. Aye. Councilmember Dell. Aye. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
At this time, we're going to open this up for regular meeting public comment.
Robert, longtime resident. So I got a few items. So one is the road signs down here that saying Bush or Empire is not to the casino. The other night they had red and blue flashing lights. That's illegal. Those are only meant to be on emergency vehicles, law enforcement, not on roadway signs.
Also very distracting.
They are, and that's what the issue is. They cause that distraction. But they're not supposed to be on roadway signs.
I don't think they're turned on anymore, just so you know. The ones at Bush Street.
I
I'm just
I
telling
came
you.
back up there from today, so, but the other night they were on.
Yeah, they
flashing.
were.
I did
Red
get
and blue
flashed at this
lights.
morning, I mean, tonight coming here, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know if they're turned off or not, but you can't have them on that signs. Second one is, are we for sure the casino that their hydrants, they're not connected to any of our water systems, correct? Well, the reason I ask is because they have a hydrant up on top up there that is hooked up to non-potable water. That will be cross-contamination for the city if they are tied in to our lines.
Wait a minute. What do you clarify that more? With the hydrant
They're
that they
purple.
moved?
All their irrigation is purple, which means it's non-potable water. And it's tied into a hydrant.
So non-potable should be on a different line, but we'll ask Chief to address that if he
It
knows.
should be tied-
Yeah.
If the hydrant is theirs and it's off of their system.
Yes, yeah,
But
I
if it's tied into
understand.
ours down below the road there, there's a cross-contamination going on.
I understand that. If, I don't believe that's going on, but you can ask Chief if he knows.
Just asking.
And we can look into it.
And-
Non-potable lines are generally never tied to potable lines.
Well, it's kind of a foot.
Non-potables are generally tied to a sewer system for irrigation.
Line of the valve and everything coming up and out of the ground and tied into the fire hydrant.
I haven't seen a valve like that. I'm not aware of it. I'll go and look,
And
but,
it's all purple, which is
oh, you're talking up on their hydrant, not ours.
their hydrant up
Yeah.
on top, which, 100 yards down the
Yeah.
road is our hydrant.
Yeah, I
just
understand. As
making
long as
sure
those
that-
aren't on the same line, everything's fine, and we'll ask the chief to address that, or we'll call the tribe and address it with them.
Am I saying on the casino property up top there, when you go into the entrance?
It's all their
those are
system.
a Loop system, all tied to their,
So it doesn't attach to the city.
that's my understanding.
And then my last one is the Sweet Pea trucks. Boy, they come off that stop sign and woo, 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 woo.
I spoke with,
20 and 30.
I spoke with Most Moody the other day, and it should have been addressed immediately by our public works superintendent. But if it continues, please let me know. So,
Thank you for bringing stuff like that to our attention.
Rosemary, come on up.
Rosemary Marino, Moody, Plymouth. Sweet Pea, it happened twice today, truck number 30. So, and yesterday too, truck number 30. After you told me to check for a truck number, had to run out of my house. I barely got it, but I got it. And he was up trimming a tree and he saw it today. He calls me on the phone. It's truck 30, tell Cameron. So anyway.
thank you for that. Thank you.
I have a concern about the corner of Locust and Empire Street. The hole in the pavement is getting bigger and bigger. There are potential issues there. I see it every morning when I walk, and it just seems like it's getting bigger. So hopefully someone's addressing that. And the last thing you got any response? Have you reached out to Caltrans on the walking path with the accumulation of water? Have we heard anything from them? Are they going to fix it? Is this something I've got to live with for forever since I walk that path every day?
I'm hoping not. It's being escalated through Caltrans right now
Okay,
because
'cause
I didn't get a satisfactory answer at the lower level.
Yeah, because even today it was still flooded. So we're actually walking along the guardrail to get around there, because even to try to jump over the guardrail, it's just wet all the way up that whole path. So
It's irritating. I've had to deal with it too.
yeah, thank you.
Stephanie Marino online.
Hi, thank you, Stephanie Moreno. I just want to make sure you all received my public comment that I submitted in writing earlier today regarding the possibility of the city applying for $10,000 in park grants and the poll that we took to gauge some public interest. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have it.
And can I make a comment? Thank you so much, Stephanie, for bringing something like this to our attention. really appreciate that.
Okay, anyone else? Public comment? Sir? Yeah, we need you to push the red
Can you-
button and turn the microphone on.
So, yeah, thank you.
About that,
And you gotta get pretty close to you.
about that. This is just more informational. I happen to be president of the Burke Ranch Property Owners Association, just off of Burke Ranch. As of recent, perhaps a coincidence, but we have had 2 sheriff calls and some transient activity outside of our mailboxes. I've had to confront one of such, whom was out of gas. Then I had to give her a jump. And I'll tell you, folks, I hate to use the word, but very physically alarming, if you will. So I just wanted to inform the board. I know the sheriffs have been called out twice, so they responded, but unfortunately they've missed these individuals each time. But I just wanted to give you a heads up what we're facing. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Seeing and hearing none, we're gonna move on. Item 4.1, presentation by the Amador Fire District.
While Jacob's getting that set up. If I could, I'd like to get through these slides. We have a real short video at the end. Once all that's concluded, then we'll certainly open it up for questions or comments or concerns, but I'd like to just roll through this if everybody's agreeable. And for those of you that don't know me, my name is Rob Withrow. I'm the fire chief for the Amador Fire Protection District. And I thought tonight it would be good for us to go through, are we good, Jacob? For us to go through what it is we provide for the city of Plymouth. And my clicker's not working, of course. No, I think there's an issue with the Zoom, right, Jacob, where it'll mess that up. Am I good now? There we go. So the objective tonight is to give you a broad overview of the services being provided to the city of Plymouth. Give you a simple breakdown of what those cost, what you pay, what Amador Fire pays with respect to Station 122 and what we provide here. Want to discuss the mutual benefits of this agreement. And then I just want to reiterate rather how important I think this partnership is for the city. I believe you're going to see that the conclusion of this, that this gives you the ability to provide a fully staffed fire department here in Plymouth for a pretty low cost, relatively speaking. I've been in the fire service for 35 years. I have a beautiful wife, but the photo with my wife and I and my daughter, I don't care for the way I look. So I voted for this photo. In any case, been doing this for 35 years. 25 of those years I was with CAL FIRE, and I rose through the ranks from firefighter to division chief. Yeah. And then have all the qualifications that come along with being in the fire service that long. The mission of Amador Fire is not unlike a lot of fire departments. We protect life and property. We take that very, very serious. Our vision is to not only protect life and property, but to be leaders in emergency response. And I just want to point something out. In this particular photo, you'll notice that gentleman to the left of Sergeant Girton there in the yellow jacket. That's one of our battalion chiefs. This is during the Tiger Fire, which we had last summer. That's Aaron Watkins. Aaron Watkins was selected to serve as the operations section chief on the Tiger incident. That's a big deal. That's a big vote of confidence for our organization. That's a testament to Chief Watkins. The reason I point that out is when I talk about our vision, it's not just words on paper. It's something we try to demonstrate and we try to live. Our values are pride, accountability, and respect. I think all of those rest on my shoulders. I take a lot of pride in this organization. I want to have an organization that we can all be proud of, including the city of Plymouth. Accountability comes down to me holding myself accountable, holding our members accountable, being transparent with the community, and finally being respectful. I always preach that we're humble, we're confident, but we're humble confidence, right? Not arrogant, not untouchable. If the community needs something and we can produce it, we're going to do that. We're here to be public servants first and foremost. As some of you know, we were formed in 1990. We were organized as what's known as a dependent special district. That seems to confuse people sometimes, and quite frankly, before I got involved here as fire chief, I wasn't real clear on it. But there's actually a lot of benefits to that. As being the fact that we're a dependent special district, one of the components of that is we share a governing board with another form of government, if you will. In our case, it's the Board of Supervisors. This form of governance provides a lot of oversight, a lot of transparency. It'd be really, really hard for me to hide money or spend money inappropriately because it goes through so many different hands. I have to present a balanced budget every year. If I'm going to touch reserves or anything we do goes through our board, the auditor, those are all elected positions. They're like you, they're all duly elected. So I've learned it's actually a really good system. There's pros and cons to it? Of course there is, just like anything else. But I think the biggest pro is the amount of oversight that comes from that form of governance. Here's a list of our predecessor agencies. These were all this didn't all happen at once. Lockwood is the last one to join Amador Fire. We merged that district into us, I don't know now, maybe 2 years ago, something like that. I show you this slide just to show respect for our predecessor agencies, but I also want to say this. I'm not a believer that bigger is always better. You always hear comments like, well, the whole county should be one fire department. That'll probably maybe happen someday just out of necessity. But if I'm being honest, that's not always the best answer. I think there's a lot to be said for local control, smaller organizations. The challenge becomes the whole economy of scale being part of something much larger. And I think Plymouth will demonstrate as a good example of that. We have 9 fire stations district-wide. Station 122 is here in Plymouth. 121 is in Willow Springs. Those are both staffed fire stations. Then 123 is in Fiddletown. We do have plans to start staffing that station as well in the near future. I don't have a set date yet, but we are planning to do that. All that area shaded in blue is our jurisdiction. We organize the district, we follow a chain of command. There's several reasons for that, but these are 3 of the big ones. The first one is unity of command. For any organization to be successful or be effective, everybody needs to have one boss, right? We can't have multiple bosses. When we start doing that, things break down. So we follow that, we stick true to that fundamental in our chain of command. And then the next one is span of control. It's just like it sounds. How many people can one person effectively supervise? And then finally, all of this provides for effective communications up and down the chain. Here's what that looks like on paper. Those colored columns on the left, the red, the blue, and the green, those are shifts. Only one of those is on duty at any one time. You'll notice in Amador Fire, we don't have assistant chiefs or deputy chiefs or any of those things. It's me and 3 shift battalion chiefs. The reason we organize the district that way is we want our money, our resources to go to people on fire engines, not a big top-heavy administration, right? Certainly we have to have some administration, and you'll see that on the right. But for the most part, every dime we get goes to serve in the community, and I'm a huge believer in that. We staff 7 engine companies every day, 24 hours a day. We have a battalion chief on duty. Battalion chief is backed up by what we call a duty chief. Most of the time, that's me as fire chief. Should I leave town, one of the battalion chiefs will fill that role for me. We have a prevention officer, a public information officer, fleet manager. Our fleet manager works full-time, station 115, serves dual function, if you will. First and foremost, manages our fleet, is mechanic, keeps our stuff on the road. And secondarily to that, he staffs our water tender 5190, which is a 4,500 gallon water tender, super valuable resource. And then certainly last but not least is our volunteer personnel and our career personnel that come in off duty and they're available for additional staffing. An example of additional staffing would be your 4th of July event here in Plymouth. We don't pay a ton of overtime for that. We bring in our volunteers, we staff up additional companies, and we make sure we're prepared so you guys can have a good, safe event. And that all comes at 0 extra cost to the city because of those people willing to volunteer their time, which I think is wonderful. We'll talk about that. I'm a huge believer in the volunteer fire service. I do believe it's alive and well. You'll hear a lot of fire chiefs say, well, it's getting harder and harder to get volunteers. And there's certainly some truth to that. But I believe it comes down to leadership and the commitment of that leadership. It's a lot of work to maintain an effective volunteer program. An example of that is I personally need to be at training nights, right? I'm asking people to volunteer their time. They're working full time. They're busy. So I can't tell them, hey, man, I worked all day. I'm busy. I won't be at drill tonight. I can't do that. They've got needs like any other member of an organization, and you got to take those serious, right? We don't treat our volunteers as if they're not as valuable as any other member of the organization. We all have a very important role to play. I'm careful who I let volunteer, and it sounds kind of rude. I don't mean it to, but we adhere to what I call the no a-hole rule. You're either here to be a public servant, you're here to be part of the team, part of the Amador Fire family, or we don't have a spot for you. That old adage, one bad apple ruins the whole bunch. And unfortunately, that's true. So that's something we have to keep an eye on. And then last but not least, we don't want to waste their time, right? Everybody's time is our most valuable resource, no question about it. So if we're going to ask you to come to training on a Wednesday night, training is going to be organized. It's going to be taught by somebody that's credible in that skill set. And we're going to make sure we get you in, we have a good time. We have a little time to fellowship, have some fun, learn something new, and then we get you out of here and get you on your way. So big believer in that. We have no problem recruiting volunteers. I would say probably every week I have at least 2 or 3 come in the door and want to volunteer for us. And for the most part, we bring them on. Every once in a while, they don't fit the bill. Here's a quick snapshot of our apparatus inventory. We have 15 engines. We just purchased a ladder truck. We have on order a brand new 65-foot aerial from Rosenbauer. It'll be here at the end of the year. We just purchased a used aerial that we're going to put in service here pretty quick too. But beyond that, that's our fleet. 15 engines, 5 water tenders, 4 specialty vehicles, and then 7 command/staff vehicles. That is not our fleet manager, but that's the fleet manager's boss right there. And we just brought that on. That's a new addition to Amador Fire. Having a full-time mechanic has been just a game changer for us. Right off the top, we have about a $200,000 maintenance budget. We cut $50,000 off of that right off the top. And quite frankly, we can probably cut a little more off of that budget next year just because we brought all that work in-house. We're very lucky. Chad is not only an incredible mechanic, but he's passionate about it. He lives for it. The man literally is turning wrenches every single day. Can do anything. I joke, we just did our season 2, episode 1 podcast, and I referred to Chad as like a Swiss Army knife, and that's the truth. He can do just about anything. He can fabricate, paint, wrench, he understands it. We just purchased 3 new command vehicles, Ford F-150s. There's tremendous cost that comes with outfitting those with the light bar and radios. To be frank, it's absurd what companies charge to do that. They're gouging government agencies doing that. We kept all that in-house. Took a little longer. It's one person doing the work for 3 vehicles, but we got that done at a very low cost and excellent quality. We just converted one of our squads to a Type 6 engine. All that was done in-house at a much reduced cost. We run a little over 4,500 calls a year. The vast majority of those, of course, are medical related. We have a organized training program I'm very proud of. We put a lot of time and effort into that. For 2025, we did almost 15,000 hours of training. Every year, we develop an actual training plan for the district. We send out what's called a training needs assessment to all of our members. And we ask them, what classes do you need and why do you need it? Is this career development? Is it, required, or is it just something you want? Based on that feedback we get, we develop our training calendar. Again, trying to keep as much as we can in-house, save cost, and it works very well. All of our career members are required to be an EMT and Firefighter 1, which is kind of the minimum. And then on top of that, they attend an 8-week recruit academy. We host that here in Plymouth out of Station 122. And they learn, they're firefighters, they've got the basics, we respect all of that, but they're coming here to learn how it's going to work in Amador County. how to operate on a two-person engine company, how to use our hose loads, our ladders, our buildings, so on and so forth. You'll see them here in a few weeks running around town in the morning. Here's some examples of our training. We have the chart on the left is our formal classes. We offer a lot of the typical stuff that most fire departments offer. Sometimes we'll throw kind of a crazy Ivan in there. This year, we're doing off-road vehicle operations for fire apparatus. It's everything from how to chain the rigs up to how to drive, operate them in four-wheel drive, etc. And then we do less formal training like multi-company drills. Every month, every company in the district has to come together and meet that objective. So you can see for 2025, it was water supply in January and so on and so forth from there. Here's an example of our monthly calendars. The one on the right is what our staff companies do. The one on the left is our volunteer drill night. Our volunteer drill night, we use our needs assessment for that too, but we also have an annual meeting at the beginning of the year. We just kind of have an informal dinner meeting. And I just polled the group, what do you guys want to work on this year? What are we looking at? Where are we struggling? And that's how we build these quarterly schedules. I'm huge on community outreach. You know, no offense to anybody or any organization, but I think government is just not serious about being transparent or customer service sometimes. We don't want to ever operate that way. We are accessible. You have an event, a birthday party, whatever it is, where if we can do it, it's legal and legit, we can do it, we're going to do it. And we're very, very committed to that. We participated in over 300 community events this last year, and this 2026 is shaping up to be even busier. I want to talk a little bit about our medical response. We have EMTs on all of our engines that operate at the expanded scope level. Examples of that is the CPAP, the Epi. We're doing drop Epi instead of EpiPens. We can administer Narcan, and then the iGel advanced airway device that we utilize. Something unique to Amador Fire is we have a CQI program, continued quality improvement, focused on our EMS. We're the only district in the county that actually has a medical doctor as our director. Frankly, when I first got here, I was kind of leery of that. Do we really need a doctor? But it turns out we do. It's very, very helpful. And I want to keep pushing the envelope with respect to the skills we can, the services we can provide under expanded scope. So we adopted back in 2024 a CQI program where we identify certain call types. And those get evaluated by our CQI committee. How did they go? What were the outcomes? Did we follow the protocol? Is there things we can do to improve, so on and so forth? And Dr. Sloan oversees that. He's an emergency physician with Kaiser, and he does it, he helps us out for very, very little cost. So I'm very proud of that. We've seen a marked improvement in our EMS service delivery since implementing that. Our prevention officer, here's the workload specific to Plymouth. Any building construction plan review is done by the Prevention Bureau, the fire and life safety inspections, special event stuff. You know, you guys have little pop-up things or Airbnbs and so on and so forth. Prevention officer handles that, all your code enforcement, the home sale, AB 38 inspections, defensible space, any investigations that may need to occur, and of course, the good old debris burns. So how much does all of this cost the city of Plymouth? So that top number, that $751,000 is what it cost Amador Fire to staff engine 5221 down there, 24 hours a day with 2 people. That's just the cost for that fire engine. That doesn't include any other costs for chief officers, prevention, training, our volunteer program. Volunteer programs aren't free, unfortunately. There's workers' comp, there's safety gear, so on and so forth. So of that $751,000, the city pays approximately $237,000. The reason I say approximately is the Measure M number changes year to year based on different thresholds, if you will. I broke that 237 down into 3 different categories. The direct cost that comes right out of your guys' budget is the $69,000 for our benefit assessment. The rest of those costs are more indirect in the sense that it's your portion of the sales tax for Measure M, and your portion, that $8,000 is your portion of Prop 172. So just the staffing of the engine leaves a difference of $513,000, of which Amador Fire pays that. On top of that, we pay the utility bills and we pay for some of the repairs. We kind of work with you on some of the repairs and maintenance to Station 122. That's a quick snapshot of what we've done, what we're doing. I want to talk about a little bit about what we're focusing on moving forward. First thing is our branding. Branding, I think at first blush, you think that's just name recognition. That's not what it is. We're talking about, yeah, we want you to recognize who Amador Fire is, but we also want to have a good reputation. We want people to look at us like, hey, that's my fire department. They care about me. They're going to do the best they can for us. Second is our culture. Culture is probably a little less obvious. What I'm talking about there is, what are we willing to tolerate? Are we going to tolerate a bunch of lazy people with bad attitudes? Or do we set a standard that, hey, we want trained professionals that are ready to go to work and ready to perform when the bell rings? And then finally is our team. Our team is, who do we want to bring into this mix? I talked about the no a-hole rule with our volunteers. That applies across the board for any position. You've got to be here because you care about the community. You understand you're a public servant. You embrace service above self. All those things sound corny and cheap and like government talk, but we live that. I believe that. That's what gets me up in the morning, is I want to be a good public servant. I want our organization to be a good service-based organization that takes care of the public. And that's who we're going to bring on for our team. Lastly, I want to just kind of have something to kind of wrap this all up. That's our year-end video. It's 3 or 4 minutes long. Once that concludes, I'll come back up and be happy to answer any questions.
Amador Fire.
The Amador Fire Protection District says who's been called out to around 6 letters say an RV caught fire. Amador Fire says.
We spoke with Kayla Dale from Amador Fire.
Fire sent us these videos of the home on fire.
Shut down Highway 8 last evening. With more on the story, Amador Fire Protection District Chief Rob Withrow.
And we're down we go, we're down we go, so we're down we go, we're down we go. Oh, you let your foot run wild. Thomas, we all go down. Yeah, but hold the phone. Do you dare to look them right in the eyes? Yeah. Oh, but say we'll run you down to the door. Yeah, someday we'll run you down to and they will run you down to the yeah, see we can't grow no more. And we're down we we're down so we're down cause say we're running down see all way down.
Right, thank you for being patient. Let me work through all that. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
That's a hell of a video. Very well done.
Pretty good deal, yeah.
Good job.
I don't have a question. I just have a comment. First, thanks so much for all your guys' service and everything that you're doing.
Sure, thank you.
Second, I'm feeling like this is a little bit of a setup for asking for more money. And third, just really appreciate everything you guys do here and being part of our community. Past just what you do, taking care of people and protecting people, but all the things you come to and events I see you at and your family and stuff.
You bet. Thank you. We're honored to be your fire department. We want to do a good job for you. If we're not, tell us, we'll fix it. And I want to say this. Yeah, that's a hell of a deal for Plymouth, but it's also a hell of a deal for us. It gives us an engine here in the north end of the county. We can cover those areas around Plymouth, so it's mutually beneficial in that respect. In other ways, we just like being part of the program over here. I love Plymouth. I'm at this station all the time because I love it so much. So we're honored to be here. I appreciate all the kind words, but we do take it serious, and I mean it. If we're missing the mark, tell us, we'll fix it. All right.
So Chief, could you tell me how many calls, both code 2, code 3 combined, do you run out of station 122 in a year?
Ooh, you know that off the top of your head?
Ballpark, you don't have to have it down to.
122, 400 maybe? In the city limits, 167 calls. Yeah.
167.
Yeah.
So out of the station though covers the whole North County. So basically down the Sacramento line and
Not anymore.
River Pines.
Not that we're staffing 121, and then of course we'll be staffing 120.
But historically.
Sure. I don't know what that number is, but sure. I would say, I'm gonna guess, Don, around 400 total, something like that.
So it's gone down a little bit, actually.
Yeah.
Seems like we used to run
I'm just
450,
guessing at
500.
that.
So do we still have all the responses going into El Dorado County that we used to have?
No, I shut that down.
Okay.
We'll go there when it's needed, but they were sending us, that wasn't being reciprocated. We weren't always the closest to stuff we were going to, and it was mutual aid is just that. It's mutually beneficial, and that wasn't, unfortunately. Certainly we'll go help them if they need our help,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I noticed that when I was there years ago, that it wasn't mutual.
yeah.
Well, I'd reiterate what the others are saying. You do a wonderful job for Plymouth. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. We're proud
We do
to be
understand
here.
that we get a good deal.
All right.
And, so, I still have never made it down to check out the station after all the work was done. I'm
Oh,
hoping that one of these days I'll walk down there. I'm
Get down
500
there.
feet away yet I don't get over there.
Yeah,
But it is looking good.
it is. It's beautiful. Very, very grateful for that. Appreciate the city stepping up and doing all that work. It's made it a lot more comfortable for the troops, and we love it.
Do you see long-term, do you see that station working out, or is there gonna need to be expansion on it, or?
Yeah, I'd say the
We
only-
used to have 3 pieces of equipment in there. I noticed that you still have 2, but I don't look on the side very often.
Yeah, the side got converted to a gym. There's kind of a balance there. I struggle with that sometimes, but at the same time, we want our folks in shape. It's gotta be healthy for them too. But I would say the only limitation there maybe is adding another bay, but frankly, I think that station will serve us well for a long time. The fact that 121 is so close by, that's 3 bays there. You know, Fiddletown's not too far away, that's 3 bays. So I think we're okay here for a good long time in that fire station. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's good now. One other thing, I noticed I watched your meeting from, what was it? In January or whatever.
Our board meeting?
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I was looking through that and I noticed that on strategic plan, you had the city listed as the Amador Fire District. And that's not
What do you-
exactly accurate.
I'm not sure. What do you mean?
Well, it was, when I was looking at it, it had the city listed, which some people might misunderstand that the city contracts to you. The city's not actually Amador Fire District. It operates on a contract.
Yeah, so you're saying that wasn't
Yeah.
called out?
Yeah, it showed it as, to my understanding, and maybe I was
That
misunderstanding.
on here is from our strategic plan.
Yeah.
It shows the city as a separate color.
Okay, when I was reading it, it just looked like that. So I was just wondering, because that
I think it's
creates a bit of a misunderstanding for some people
Sure.
that we do contract for your service.
Yeah, but just so you know, we treat it like it's our own.
Yeah, I know you do. You do wonderful for us. I was just pointing that out, that
Sure.
some people might misunderstand
Sure.
that the city actually had a fire department. Now we just contract those services, just kind of
Sure.
like what we do with the sheriff's office.
Sure.
Okay.
I certainly understand that.
Yeah, well, I know you understand it. But for some people, it might not understand.
Sure.
So I appreciate it. You're doing a wonderful job. You guys are always on it.
Thank you.
I like, been a lot of improvements, in
Yeah.
the years since I've,
Cool.
in the time I've left, and, looks good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Okay, thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Oh. All right, so we're gonna move on. 5.1 correspondence. We do have correspondence here from Stephanie Marino regarding the grant. Have we put in for that grant? Are we putting in for that grant? Oh. Oh, I'm sorry. Go to the consent calendar. On the consent calendar, approval of consent calendar, I just wanted to bring up, we had a correspondence. Approval of the consent calendar. Oh. We'll comment on the consent calendar. Seeing, hearing none. Get a motion.
Make a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
Councilmember Cranford. Aye. Councilmember Dell. Aye. Vice Mayor Hornish.
Aye.
Mayor Nunn.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
Okay. Item 6, public hearings, we have none. Item 7.1. Accept the City of Plymouth Community Facility District's ditch repair project. City manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The contractor phase 1 construction, which was hired to complete the work in Simsdale Ridge, has completed all contract terms of work for the project. All work has been completed in substantial compliance with the plans, specifications, and codes and standards of the city. Project costs, the original contract was for $46,333 or 33, yeah, correct. $46,330. There was one change order that had to take place that was approved by CFD at their request, and it was for an additional $1,800 for a total of $48,130. The recommendation is to adopt resolution 2026-02, accepting the work on the project and authorizing the city mayor to execute the notice of completion and cause it to be filed with the Amador County Recorder's Office.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open up for public comment, item 7.1. Anyone for public comment? Looks like we have Stephanie Marino online.
Thank you, Stephanie Moreno. A couple of things. One, regarding the change order, it's not included in the packet. So I'd like to know what the change order was for. Also, the city manager just said it was approved by the CFD. You are the CFD. You are the board of the CFD. So I'm confused as to who approved the change order. And then I'd like to know who inspected the work to ensure it was completed as bid. If that was a city engineer, or if it was some other city staff member, who it was, and what constituted the inspection. What did they do to inspect that all the work had been done? And then the final thing is that I understand there was a problem with at least one homeowner that lived out there with their personal property being removed without permission. And I understand that's been resolved, but I wonder if I'll wait till you're through talking so you can all hear me.
We can hear you. Fine, go ahead.
I'm wondering if all of the residents out there were noticed that you were planning on closing out this project, so they had adequate time to submit any concerns before you close it. It seems to me that it's CFD money is being used, that you should make sure that everybody out there is content with the work and has had an opportunity to submit questions or concerns if they have them. Thank you.
Yep. All right, thank you. I was going to ask discussion in the back. Can we move it outside? Chief. Thank you. Anyone else public comment on this matter? All right, hearing none. Council discussion on it at all?
I am also curious as to what the change order was for what.
So the change order was in response to, as Ms. Moreno stated, somebody had put down rock in the ditch. That rock, based on the plans that the CFD approved, was removed. The homeowner wanted it put back, so the HOA and CFD decided to place it back. That was the additional cost. It was looked at by the engineers, the HOA, CFD, and we ultimately went ahead and went on with it because it would be a lot more expensive to wait for a council meeting and bring all the equipment back out and all that stuff. It was something that had to be done on site while we had them. And our city engineers who are the ones that inspected it. So.
Is this the same contract that we didn't grant to Shenandoah Excavating because it was $69 difference, and now here we are at $1,800 more? Imagine that.
Yeah,
that's correct, ma'am.
Oof.
No further question.
Bet Jamie and Ron would have done it for free.
Deborah, anything?
Nothing, no.
Okay. All right, so do we need to take a vote to approve this?
Yeah, we're looking for a vote on the resolution that's attached.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'll motion to accept the City of Plymouth Community Facilities District ditch repair. What is it called? I lost my page. I was flushed. Thank you.
Yes, accept the City of Plymouth Community Facilities District 2016-1 Zinfandel Services District ditch repair project.
What Holger said. I lost my paper, sorry.
By approving resolution 26-02.
Yep, that.
I'll second.
Councilmember Cranford?
Aye.
Councilmember Dill? Aye. Vice Mayor Hornish?
Aye.
Mayor Nunn?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes.
All right, on to item 7.2, approve the first reading, and introduction of an ordinance, adopting a procurement policy, city council -45. City manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Government Code Sections 54201 through 54204 require local agencies, including cities, to adopt policies and procedures, including bidding regulations governing the purchase of supplies, equipment, and services. The city requires materials, supplies, equipment, and services to carry out its mission and provide services to the public. To ensure that public funds are expended responsibly and in compliance with applicable law, the city has prepared a comprehensive procurement policy entitled Procurement Policy CC TAC 45. The procurement policy will establish efficient policies and procedures for the procurement of public works projects, general services, professional services, maintenance services, and materials, supplies, and equipment at the lowest possible costs, commensurate with quality and need. Such policies and procedures shall clearly define authority for the purchasing function and shall ensure compliance with all applicable laws in a professional and ethical manner. The procurement policy applies to all city departments, officials, employees, and others participating in the city procurement activities. Plymouth City Council previously considered Resolution 2023 TAC 40 on October 12, 2023, opting the city into the California Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act, governing the procurement of public works projects. This policy effectuates the adoption of that resolution and the requirements of the act. The policy includes a local business preference for goods, supplies, equipment, and non-professional services, excluding public works, providing a 3% differential to qualified local vendors consistent with applicable law. The fiscal impact, the approval of this ordinance adopting a procurement policy will not result in any additional fiscal impacts to the city, as it is intended to standardize the city's procurement process. And attached is the ordinance 2026 TAC 02, procurement policy CC 45, and resolution 2023 TAC 40.
Thank you. At this time, do we have anyone for public comment? Stephanie Moreno.
Thank you. I'm hoping that you'll grant me a little bit more than the 3 minutes because I found a number of errors in there. If not, that's okay too. But I will first suggest that this policy is not yet ready for adoption. There are significant issues with it. The biggest one of which, it does not accomplish what you said you wanted to accomplish, which was to offer local bidders preference for local bidders like the one that Councilmember Cranford just mentioned. And while it's true that public works projects cannot have a geographical local preference, they can have other kinds of local preference, such as for small businesses, which most of the Amador County businesses do fall in that category. So I would say that the first major issue is that it did not accomplish the purpose that you intended it, and that is to provide a way for local contractors to have a better chance of competing against the out-of-town consulting and contracting firms. Among some of the other, it really looks like someone cut and pasted different policies together without ensuring internal consistency and removing redundancies. Some of the definitions are in the definitions section 3. Some of the definitions are in the policy itself and are not listed in definitions. There's a gap here where they allow a department head to expend $50,000 or less on their own in the event of an emergency, and they do not have to bring that to the city council for approval later. Normally, the city manager has $25,000 and has to bring it to the city council afterwards. So there's a little bit of a gap there as to why you would allow a department head to spend $50,000 and not have that reported to city council. Under sole source standardization purchase, that looks like it needs to be fleshed out a little bit better to meet legal review, I think. there's a discussion of doing RFQs in advance of RFPs, and the purpose of which is to make sure there's fewer responses to the bid, which does make no sense to me that you would want more bids in order to be more competitive. So that in itself just seems to be for the purposes of making it easy for staff rather than the purposes of making sure the city's spending money wisely. It has very strange definitions for when RFQ would be used that I'm not familiar with those being used. It does not, it talks about shall award the contracts to the highest ranked proposers and doesn't work the local bid preference for non-public works supplies into the language. It puts it separately. It requires only a public notice for RFPs. Which the city traditionally puts at the post office and sometimes on its website. But then it has something called an invitation to bid, which requires a newspaper article. And I don't even know what invitation to bid is as different from an RFQ. And that's where I think that different terms are used in here, coming from different places. It allows informal solicitations up to $25,000. But then also talks about purchases up to $250,000 under the informal solicitation section. I don't know if that's a typo. It says that the city does not require competitive solicitation for procurement of professional services. When prudent, the city will use the RFP process. And then and professional services are like planners and building people and engineers. And it seems to me that those are areas that you want to make sure that you're showing the public that you did a good job of getting the best price, and you're not just, you don't have, the good old boy network in action. And then it goes through a whole section of informal bidding up to 220,000, which is highly unusual for an entity of this size. And then one of the other major issues is that the law allows you to go up to 7% for local bidders, and they've chosen 3%. Most of the other cities that have it in Amador City and surrounding areas are between 4 and 5, and those were adopted before the law went up to 7. I have no idea why staff would choose such a low percentage for local bidders when they can go up to 7%. So I'd like to encourage the council to, obviously provide your comments after your review, but to not adopt tonight, to give time for this to be repackaged. Oh, one final thing. It says that two final things, sorry. Exhibit A, the policy is a reference to the ordinance, but the city does not put its ordinances online. So it will hide the policy so nobody can see what the policy is on the website if they do this as an exhibit rather than adopting it as an ordinance in its entirety. And the other thing is that the federal grants, you cannot use a local bidder's preference for federal grants. And that's not called out in here, leaving the policy to have a little bit of risk to the city. Thank you for your indulgence in letting me make.
Thank you, Stephanie. Anyone else? Okay, no one else for public comment. We're gonna close this, go to council discussion. Wendy, you want to start?
Yeah, I actually have the same concern, Stephanie. She shared a lot of concerns, but the 50,000 or less for the department head, we don't really have that kind of cash hanging around.
No.
So I am actually a little concerned about that too, because then the city manager has $50,000 to $100,000 authority. And then it says 100,000 or more city manager upon city attorney or mayor. So I would agree that this is concerning. I know that's emergency, but what constitutes an emergency, I guess, would be my question. Does that mean if OES is called in? Does that mean, I guess some clarification around that would be good. I'm not currently worried about our department heads or city managers, but we put stuff in place for the foreseeable future in case there's people that we do have to be concerned about. And then I was unaware of the 7% law that she just brought up. Do you have any clarification on that?
3% is what my public works people are telling me is defensible. There's different amounts in different parts of the state.
What do you mean by defensible?
As a preference that you can adjust, an amount you can adjust by. In places where there's higher local taxes, more money is seen as lost to local sales taxes if you go with somebody outside of your area. I was informed by my public works experts that 3% would be appropriate for this area.
Well, that would be an opinion of theirs, but what is the law for what we could go to?
I can go back to them and ask them for clarification on that.
Yeah, because we want law, not opinion of a person.
Well, I'm just wondering why there's differentiation between the percentages, I guess that's why I'm asking. So let me
Higher
make sure
percentages have been struck down by courts as not being appropriate under the public contracting code.
So in other words,
Public purchase.
let me run a scenario. ABC Construction, who is out of Plymouth, applies for something for one of our projects. We have this 7% deal, say, in our policy. Another construction company comes from out of Sacramento. They both put bids in.
So just to be clear, for public works projects, when you're talking about construction, that's expressly prohibited, the local project.
I know, I'm not talking about public works. I'm talking about like the project we just did. I'm just trying not to use any specific names of any current local people.
It's just when you're talking about construction, like the prior project,
That wasn't a public works project.
that was a public works project.
I thought that that was outside of the scope. So
Because the home.
what we did on the park,
That utility act that was adopted years ago would have allowed us to go the other route if we wanted to. The local preference can't apply to that project, but the act would have allowed us to, we found out afterwards, go with the other company.
So the city had opted to go through this Uniform Cost Accounting Procedure Act a few years back, but never fully implemented it. That's part of what's necessary to do that, is adopting a policy.
okay,
That had never been done. We
Okay.
had a draft policy on the city system. We started with that, but that had never been brought forward
I'm shocked.
by prior administrations. So part of the cleanup that we're doing now is to do that, to implement that,
Okay,
give the city a little bit more latitude in how it procures public contracts
okay,
for up to larger amounts. That's why you're seeing much larger amounts for public works projects than you would have perhaps previously thought possible. But the dollar amounts that are in there for public works projects are tied directly back to that Uniform Cost Accounting Act.
which does not allow us to give local preference.
No, but it does allow you to do solicit informal bids up to a much higher amount.
Okay. So when we're talking about the giving local preference, that only applies to what?
I don't know, for example, I'll use Lava Dog, if that's all right. If we were to come do a CPR class for the city and it was gonna cost a certain amount of money and you got other bids, that 3% would go towards Lava Dog being here locally versus a county, someone outside the
So
area.
if your bid was 3% higher,
I would get 3%.
you would get the
consideration.
bid because
Correct.
you're local.
The
Got it.
state in some instances for veterans and small businesses does 5%. But they have a little bit more money. So the larger percent means that the city's also paying a little bit more, for the services. I mean, it's good for the business, but it's not good for the city. My suggestion would be give the 3% a try. And if it doesn't prove beneficial, then we readdress it later.
The biggest category where that local preference kicks in is when you're talking about goods and services. For example, if you're buying a new vehicle or you're buying some equipment and somebody sells it locally, they could be 3% above some bigger outfit out of Sacramento or Stockton.
Okay, so we could actually create a problem if we go too high because then we're allowing local businesses to gouge us.
Yeah, that's the concern. So-
particularly Lava Dog.
Yeah, so the public policy behind the local preference is really to try and keep the tax dollars more local, on the theory that if you're spending that locally, it's gonna benefit your local community more.
Okay, thank you. All of that makes more sense, and I apologize to people who in the room who understand math. I do not, so I have to have the elementary level of conversation.
Okay, Holger? Or, excuse me, Deborah?
So I went down a rabbit hole and started looking at some other purchasing policies. Amador County's is 4% local. El Dorado County is 5% local preference. And then I looked at City of Jackson and City of Sutter Creek. They don't have specific amounts, but what they do is they allow you to deduct the tax from your bid. And let me see if I can, if the bid were awarded to such local bidder as a condition to the deduction of such tax from a local bid, they must submit, upon submission of his or her bid, provide the amount of tax to be rebated to the city. So they allow you to deduct an amount that would be the sales tax that would go back to the city. So just, there is some that are higher than the 3%.
Holger?
I don't know. Why I fully trust certain staff members, including you, the city manager, in case of emergencies, you know, there's a huge water issue and we need to take care of it ASAP. Fair. I want to future-proof this a little bit more, and I think the city manager should probably have certain jurisdictions and higher allowances, specifically during emergencies. I'm not sure about a department head per se. And I would love to see the 3% at least move to 4%.
Yes, I have several concerns on it. Even if we had a water main break or something, and within 24 hours, you're not gonna, the money expended in 24 hours isn't gonna exceed or get to $50,000. You know, we all live here in town, 24 hours to call an emergency special meeting. So I'd have some concerns with that. Honestly, between looking at this and hearing the concerns raised, and I'll be quite honest, I haven't had enough time this week with some things that have gone on to really look at this enough and give it thought. I wouldn't be comfortable voting for this tonight, but I'd be comfortable continuing it because there's several things brought up, several issues have been brought up. And I would like to have another couple weeks to look at it and consider it.
So on the emergency spending authority, it sounds like there's kind of universal support for taking away a higher amount. And
Well, I don't know that yet. I'd like to think about it.
Okay.
Are we able to table this and send in recommendations of monetary?
Sure, you could send me your recommendations.
Okay.
Try to piece together another draft.
Yeah, so why don't we do that by Thursday of next week?
Sure.
Does that work? Debbie?
That works.
I would like to have one council member kind of compile from whatever we discuss here tonight, send it to Andreas in a very clean, simple way. It costs us money to have him redo this. So I would rather we discuss it, what we want changed, maybe table it without sending him anything. Bring it back, discuss what we want changed, have one council member contact Andreas, say, here's all the things we want changed after we've discussed it publicly. And go that route so that we're doing the work and we're just kind of,
So how do we get around the Brown Act on that?
no, right now I'm telling you.
Oh, tonight,
We-
you mean?
we
I thought you meant
either-
over the next week.
So like we take this tonight, we all go home, we commit to reviewing it and making the changes we want to make. We put it on the next agenda, just as it is tonight. We say all of our things that we want changed. And then one person either emails Andreas or you take the notes from that, however that looks. What my entire point is, let's reduce the amount of time our attorney's spending rewriting things and getting information and then guessing at what we want, and then comes back and we're still not happy. And honestly, I'm gonna just kind of, on myself included, this is on all of us. We really should have all of that together now. That's why we have packets, right? Like, we've already had this information. We should have reviewed it. My bad is included in this. So maybe that's something this council can get better at, is making sure we check those things. I know that we've had emergency stuff. Dawn's been out on all of that, so it's been a little sticky, but, and maybe Stephanie can email her thoughts to one of us.
I would be happy to be the bridge or go-to person for that.
That would be awesome. Thank you, Holger. So could we table it tonight, bring it back to the next meeting once we've all submitted our comments to Holger? Or no, we can't do that. Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
So
Bring it
we're gonna
back
have
at
to
the
table
next
it till the next meeting. We can't
Yes.
share the comments.
Yes. So we'll
No,
table it.
so to be clear, you guys shouldn't communicate with each other
Yeah.
between meetings about.
I know, I know. That was a mistake on my part. I'm sorry. Everybody calm down. Nobody get their panties in a wad. We'll, at the next meeting, we will then tell Holger all of our things that we.
And I will
put
then
down,
communicate
and
with
then you
Andreas.
can compile it and communicate with Andreas.
So I'm understanding
You,
Cameron on that, and then
Yes,
that's fine.
sorry, Cameron too.
Yeah,
So I'm understanding, and I think I like your idea. It's just that we're all gonna read it a lot more careful, do our own research. We're gonna have written down our change order, on this thing.
Yes,
And then
bring it back at the next
we'll
meeting.
table it. Yeah, we'll bring it back at that meeting and we'll all have our change orders. Cause I know,
Literally like a list.
I mean-
Okay, here's all my things.
and Stephanie, if you wouldn't mind, start emailing me, your 2 cents, best practices, change orders, all those things.
sure, will.
Does that
Yeah.
work?
That works for me, and I've got to be honest, I've got to apologize to the council and the public. We've been on 7/16s since
know.
basically since last Tuesday,
I
last
know.
Sunday.
Hey.
So I haven't, this is the first time I can honestly say I walked into the meeting without reading a packet. And in the time I've been on here, I haven't had a chance, so.
It happens. This isn't any of our full-time job. We all have busy schedules and we're all doing our best. That's how I feel. I think this council gives their all, and we're all doing our best. So I don't,
All
but
right.
I don't wanna spend any more of the city's money having our city attorney
Yeah.
come up with an idea that then is gonna get shot down again.
Yeah, all right, so we'll all write down our ideas. It's tabled till the next meeting. I don't think we need to do anything on that, or we need to take it, okay. So we're just gonna table it till the next meeting. All right. So. Item 8, city manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since we last met, we met with, Amador Water Agency, or myself and Frank from WGA. Just talked to him, wanted to meet the team. Also, we're gonna start cleaning up some of the amendments over the years. There's been multiple amendments. Some of the information in the agreement don't really apply to us anymore. It needs to be updated. AWA is gonna work on that, get it back to us, and we'll bring it to you guys. They're also helping us facilitate acquiring some more water storage for the city and working with different community partners that we have to see what we can do about getting that rectified. And also, not only with the water storage and the cleaning up of our agreement, it'll also help keep Graylich Ranch project going, and they're moving along and excited to start, getting that ball rolling for them. We've received some complaints about traffic issues, especially along 49 with the opening of Acorn Ridge Casino has been a concern before their opening. actually, but a citizen pointed out some changes to a law here in California, and so we started looking into that to help ease the city's burden or Caltrans burden in lowering some of the speed limits around town. It's not as easy as just going and changing signs. There are still traffic studies that we're looking into. There's a lot of criteria such as that we have to articulate. Engineering and traffic studies. We have to be able to justify that there's been an elevated number of serious crashes or fatalities along the corridor, and understand concern. But it's not a fast evolution. So I'm asking for patience as we kind of work through this with our partners. But that is on my desk. I attended the California League of Cities City Manager Conference 2 weeks ago, and it was, I mean, especially as a newbie, it was very informative. I got a lot of good information out of there, a lot of good contacts, people I've been able to reach out to and just ask questions as we navigate what we're doing here. Is nice to kind of hear that our problems aren't unique. Some cities are dealing with it on a larger scale, but we all have a common goal, is that's to serve the cities that we represent. And so it was a very neat conference. Kim Pruitt from Congressman McClintock's office met with me, introduced herself, offered the congressman's office to anything the city needs as far as like help writing grants or they'll write a lot of support letters for us. But it was nice to put a face to the name and start working with her. Bradley Booker of Amador Trail Stewardship, which is a local nonprofit, met with me. And he wanted to explore options for youth activities, such as bike tracks, in the city, or different activities for the youth, and also activities such as hiking trails and stuff like that. So I'll probably be talking with Bradley over the next few months and trying to see if we have any land suitable for what he wants to do. But he's very energetic, and it was kind of neat to have some fresh ideas. They built a bike track in Jackson off of Jackson Gate Road. And I drove by it the other day, and it was pretty neat looking. So if we can find somewhere to do that, they work on the grants and facilitate that. Met with the auditors. City accountant Richard Van Dyke has been on top of it, getting them things they need. That's going along nicely. I mean, I don't think a day goes by that an email goes unanswered by them. So I think they're pretty appreciative of how the city is responding. So that's going along. I also received the January 2026 summary reports from the Sheriff's Office for calls for service. In January, there was 134 total incidents in the city, 3 alarm calls, 1 animal, which doesn't specify what. They did 65 different business checks, and that's when the deputies are in towns. They might park in front of Pokerville or on Main Street, and they might put 1063 City Hall, and that's just them kind of checking the area. They responded to 3 different be on the lookouts for suspicious persons or vehicles. They conducted 33 car stops, which I think has been noted by a lot of our citizens. 3 citizen assist calls, disturbing the peace, 1. Extra patrols where a citizen might call and say, hey, I'm on vacation, can you patrol our neighborhood, or we're having some hinky stuff going on, so they give a little extra attention to that area. Follow-up investigations, 4. They assisted with multiple medical calls. They were out with suspicious people, vehicles, and then they had 2 custodial arrests, 1 for possession of controlled substance for sales, methamphetamine 11378. H&S, possession of controlled substance with 2 or more priors, possession of drug paraphernalia, and operated vehicle as an addict, and also violation of probation warrant. So the Sheriff's Office is down here doing some work. And we did have Acorn Ridge open up last Tuesday. I don't know if it was good traffic control or whatever, but it didn't seem like the city was impacted too much. There was once we had some GPS issues with people going into a local neighborhood. So we do have our sign out there, and I'll address the red and blue lights. I thought they were addressed, but if they weren't, then we'll make sure. I'll double check.
They were off tonight.
Okay.
When I came home from work, they were off.
Okay.
When you're addressing that,
Yeah.
as I came home tonight, I saw the school bus, for some reason, maybe this is regular for them, try and turn onto Empire, right turn onto Empire going northbound off the highway. The bus turned, looked like it had to actually back up just a little bit because where you guys or you have that sign sitting, it was very tight for a 40-foot bus. So maybe move it a couple feet over or something.
Okay. Yeah, we could do that.
Okay.
That's Bush Street, just so you know. That turn right there, that's Bush. Empire's down the other way. It's down further.
I'm talking where Empire goes across 49. Isn't that?
Right
Empire up
across
to
from
Bush Street?
49.
Right across from the 49er RV park.
Oh, there's no sign there though.
There was earlier. Yeah,
Oh,
there is one. It says no casino access on Bush Street or something like that.
well, I didn't even see the one on Empire.
Yeah, there was one, it looked like an electronic one, and it was right there, so the bus turned, and then it had to, it looked like he had to back up a little bit, which causes a bit of a hazard if his rear end is.
It's a good observation.
Okay, we'll adjust that, sir.
Yeah, I mean, he almost made it, so if you just move it over a foot or two, maybe they're all right, or she, excuse me, I don't know who was driving.
Yeah, and I think the sheriff's office planned on being out there a lot longer than they were and kind of disrupting traffic a lot longer than they were than they weren't. So it was nice to kind of keep the city moving. So that's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. So council member reports, requests for future agenda items. Huh? Oh, I can. Debbie, you want to go first?
I don't have anything to report, but I was wondering when we were gonna get a budget update.
That'll be our next meeting. I'm sorry. I take that back. Our second March meeting. Andy's scheduled to be here.
Wendy?
Yeah, so I have a report. I attended the Golden Acorn Award dinner in Jackson at the Jackson Rancheria. John Colburn, who's a citizen of Plymouth, everybody knows, was awarded that award. It goes to 2 citizens a year. And Susan Manning, who runs Tri-County Wildlife and used to own the feed barn a few years back. They were both awarded the Golden Acorn Award. It's basically a community award that is what I would have likened to a Citizen of the Year type award. So they both received that. It was a beautiful dinner, and there were some Amador County ambassadors that were acknowledged, and my elementary school principal was awarded one of the Amador County ambassador awards. So that was pretty cool. And it was a really lovely dinner, lots of great people there, and I just thought that the city should know that he was given that award since he's from our town. Oh, and agenda items. The 49er. We've talked about that in the past multiple times. If we could get an update on what's happening with that. Plans, I don't know. I don't even know how to word it.
Erica's working on that, but I think we can work on an update for the next meeting.
Okay, I'd love an update.
Is that it, Wendy? Order.
Where do I start? As far as traffic goes to the casino, on Tuesday, excuse me, during their opening or on their opening day, I took 49 to head to work at 9:15 a.m. And I will say that Sheriff's Department was out there in full force, tons of cones, directing traffic. I expected more traffic, like people already waiting in line, but it was pretty well clear and suited. I then again took 49 to head into town at 12:15 p.m. Again, expecting some sort of traffic hubbub, and nah. So kind of pleased about that. I received several kudos and yays for appointing Cameron as a city manager. I would like to give Cameron kudos myself on the speed and thoroughness of your communication. It is amazing. My question to you guys is, do we have any new business proposals, applications? What is the update on the restaurant across the street? and the fire station plaque with the renaming. That would be my future ask. Thank you.
Thank you. I have several things here to bring up. One thing that's always bothered me, and I've noticed, is we're the only incorporated city in the county that I'm aware of that does not have a city Christmas tree and a Christmas tree lighting event. And
I am 100% behind you.
I would
Me
like
too.
council discussion. I would like to have a council discussion in the future of having Public Works build some kind of a place in the park area over here. Or, you know, we could take input from the public if that's not where they want it. But I would like some type of a structure put in the ground where we could put a large tree, you know, and the reason I say a structure is in my former duties, I had to help stand those trees up for Amador City and Sutter Creek. And if you don't have something actually built, yeah, it's not a pretty sight. So this is something that can be done relatively cheap by city staff. And then I would propose that, like, the first Saturday following Thanksgiving every year, that we would have a city event for Christmas tree lighting. And so that's one thing I'd like to propose. If you want to say something, you can.
I was just gonna say, I think that's when we do our Christmas market, so I think combining it in with the Christmas market would be brilliant.
So without getting into too much discussion on it right now, but yeah, we'd
So
definitely put that on a future.
I would like that on agenda. I would like city
I'm
manager.
very excited about festivities, sorry.
I would like the city manager to reach out and look at possibly from here on, asking that we just get these numbers on police activity in the city and fire activity, and it's just automatically added to the consent calendar. Say first meeting of every month, it's in the consent calendar, so the public can just look at the agendas and see it from now on. And have that done on a monthly budget if the undersheriff would agree to that, and I'm sure Chief Withrow will.
Cameron, is that doable on your end with that sort of timeline?
I mean, it doesn't have to start right away. It could be in a couple.
No, but like for every first of the month, maybe
Well, I'll check with the undersheriff. You know, he knows that I do want monthly stats. I just gotta make sure he can get them done. You know, sometimes our meetings are pretty close to the first of the month.
Well, yeah, so at least on a monthly basis is all I was hoping for. Another thing I'd like to consider, with other restaurants opening in town, more people coming into town, parking is gonna start being a serious issue. I know we don't have a lot of money to work with, but there's grants available. We've had residents and other people bring up possibly moving the pop-up plazas slightly. I mean, keeping them, having them there. But one thing I noticed, I brought it up one night to the city manager, is if we could possibly move the entrance, we move the entrance over to the parking lot there and actually pave the parking lot at angled spots, we could put a lot of cars in there and then somehow make it to where cars go out onto Landrum. We would have a lot of parking. And I don't know if that's something we want to entertain, have a discussion on trying to do. I'd like to have it on agenda, at least talk about it, and maybe get some proposals from local contractors, what they would think it would cost us to do that, you know, estimates. And so that would be another thing I'd like to see. Another thing that's come to light, with water and sewer bills, I'd like to have a discussion on low income assistance. And I know we believe we had something in place, but it's a little bit muddy water there on that. I would like to have a discussion and make sure we have something in place on low income assistance and how we're funding it and who it's going to. I think it's going to be very important. So I'd like that on a future agenda item. And that's what I have for tonight. I'm going to get my bearings here. Okay. So we're going to be going into closed session. I'm going to call for public comment on closed session item 10.2, conference with real property negotiators. Stephanie Marino online.
Actually, Mayor Nunn, I wanted to make a comment on your last item, if that's possible.
Sure, go ahead.
It's to respond to Councilmember Hornish's question about the Amador Fire Department sign, because I can address that. That's on me. It's my fault that it's not farther along in the process. I talked to Cameron early on about putting the sign up. He gave me permission to contact Cam about getting some quotes. I talked to Cam. We were thinking that we could just flip the sign that was there. And just print on the other side what we wanted it to say to save some funding. However,
Public don't know who you mean by Cam. Could you?
by Cam Merslack at Merslack
Merslack
Signs.
Signs. Yeah.
Sorry. And then, however, Antonio, wanted to, make sure that it still says Plymouth Fire Department and that it talks about him underneath it. So it would actually be 2 lines. Cam said we could put that all on this square, but it would be pretty small letters. And so, it kind of got stalled because I need to get someone to help me go out there and measure, that side of the building to see what size sign can fit there to put all those letters in there. And I haven't got that done yet. So I apologize for that after pushing you guys to get this done. I haven't got that done. I was hoping that maybe when there was a slow moment at the fire department, maybe they could actually help me measure that. So that's where it's at. I just wanted you to know it's not on Cameron, city manager. It's on me right now.
If you need help just measuring or like, you know, light duty, I'm here for you. So just let me know.
Oh, thank you so much. We need to get up on, I was hoping they could maybe, so they could actually use their ladders or something to get up there. Maybe we can measure from the ground if we have a large, large measuring stick. I don't know. But I need to have the height from the top of the doors up to the eave and then sideways too. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Thank you. Anyone else for public comment on the closed session, item 10.2? Hearing and seeing no one, I'm going to close that. And this time council is going to go into closed session. We will report out. Going into closed session at 8:03. Thank you. Vice Mayor. The council met in closed session to discuss item 10.2, real estate property negotiations. No reportable action was taken. At this time, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 8:44.